their food. Apparently
Okay.
it can exacerbate allergic reaction. So
Okay.
you might
Can we
try.
get that licensed, or we have to get a separate?
No, you can get it. I think they have both.
Okay, so I'll just ask them for a different one next time we go.
We are doing a food order now. We're out of lamb and lentil, but I think we're gonna be ordering more, and then we have salmon and tuna.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just order it, or I'll get a different next time I go.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I know we already talked a bit recently about it, and
Yeah.
I know I had mentioned to you how my personal dog had been having infected adrenal glands until we overhauled her whole diet, but she's only on like goat right now and no grains. It's a whole big thing, but she's finally okay.
Perfect. All right, great. Thank you.
A question we hadn't had before. Moving on from anal glands. Anyone? Oh, I have, if I can share my screen, I am going to share what one of Wendy's favorite things that she says every time we have a meeting. Generally on Q&A, she's a little reserved, but when your dog goes out, they should be well groomed. You can see here a really nasty, terrible, awful Grinch foot and what it looks like after. So this is Denozo, and he needed to have his feet trimmed before I left when I came back from Oklahoma in September, he needed to have his feet trimmed. It didn't get done, and I left for Arizona, and I came back, and we sat down that day and with the trimmers, with the scissors, and we got him all spruced up. It is an ordeal for us to do Denozo's feet. One of the reasons he was career changed is he has serious attitude when you touch his feet. It takes both of us to do it. Lamar has to be feeding him his kibble while I'm doing the trimming. We do 2 feet at a time, and we did back feet and then front feet. The next time I'll start with the front and then go to the back, because whichever ones I start with, I generally do a better job. The next 2 will be the next time we'll start with the front ones. But I just wanted to show you, in case you are raising a puppy and you don't know what we're talking about when we say Grinch feet, that's a Grinch foot. And the one on the left is what it should look like.
Yeah, so don't take it off yet, Laura. So if you look at the bottom of his paw, all of that fur sticking out really needs to be trimmed up to the pad, because it causes dogs to slip, not be able to walk on tile. So it's really important that not only are you trimming around the front of the paw and, the hair between the toes, so to speak, but also on the pad of the dog's paw. So, if you have a groomer who does it and you want to pay for it, great. I personally don't have a particular groomer, and so it's me. And I do my own dog's feed, and I end up doing other dogs' feed. I just did Fajita. She's one of our service dogs who is serving, and she spent the weekend with me, and I did her feed. So just be aware of it. It's important that you not be taking your dog out and have them look like the foot on the right.
And Denozo had not been out because he needed to have his feet trimmed. And so he wasn't getting to go to the things that he normally does get to do. And so that was another impetus for getting it done.
If you're not sure how to do that, there is on our friends page, you have to go into the videos, but in the videos, there is a couple of videos on how to trim your dog's feet.
And if you need coaching locally, I'm available, and Wendy will be soon. So, and are we done with his terrible feet that
That's great. That's a great example. Love it.
So we have to trust one another that we won't judge. When we all share, whether it's a video fail or a grooming fail like that one, know that this is a safe place to do that. There's not a lot of people that I go, would you look at how bad his feet got? But I did think it could be a learning opportunity. So there you go.
Yes, and I want to thank those of you that sent me videos for October's training. I really appreciate that. It was really nice for us, for those of us that were on, to go through them and just take a look at what other people were doing. And I think there was one, I think it was, I'm trying to think of the dog's names that it was. Garth Brooks, his handler did one that I did not share. So I will be sharing that in the November Zoom training. But, you know, we're just looking for short videos that are helpful, whether it's a fail or it's good, just whatever works. We will take them. So, and it's like we've said before, it's really good for you to videotape yourself, to hear how you're giving the commands, to watch how your dog is responding. And it's helpful for other people, other raisers, to see those. So those of you who are willing, even if you just want to give the commands and you don't want to be on camera, that's possible as well. If you just want to videotape the dog, which is pretty much what, I think it's Katie, right? Katie has Garth Brooks? Okay. So I think that's pretty much what Katie did. So I do want to share though, I have that video, but I don't have it queued to go. I had it queued last time, I forgot it, but I'll show you. But she shows where the dogs are getting things out of the dryer. And the cool thing she started with was toys. So she put toys, dog toys, in the dryer. And I thought that was a great idea. One way to get them to go in the dryer, and in the dryer, and get them out. So I will share that next time, but that was a good one. And
that's genius to use the dog toys to start them on it.
Yep. And they were going, well, her dog especially, that she owns the dog, was going in and getting it. And Garth Brooks did a really nice job. So that's a great way to start. If your dog is hesitant in putting their head in the dryer, which they might be.
Put that high value stuff in there.
Yeah. Yep. There was some great toys in there. So you can, I'll put my number, and Laura put hers also in the chat. So if you have a video, you can text them or email them to us. They're just really helpful. Think about what. Yes. Okay, other questions, comments, concerns? Now's your chance. Now's your opportunity to share. Or if you've been struggling with something and you want to know how to work through it, we'd love to try to help you. That's what we're here for. And if we can't give you an answer, we'll find out the answer, hopefully.
So, Jules, I was just going to ask how your Kenyon's doing with the barking.
The barking, it's still hit or miss. We've been working on trying to tire him out before we take him somewhere. We figured out bubbles, really get him going. So we bought a little bubble gun thing. So it just blows 1,000,000 bubbles and he chases them around. So that's kind of hit or miss still. But we're still having issues with him waking up and barking at, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. So it doesn't really matter what time we feed him and or lay him down for bed. He's still waking up at 5:30 and barking and just won't let Lauren sleep.
And you've put the sheet over his crate, right?
Yes. So we moved him to a bigger crate because now he's bigger than our two other dogs. So we moved him into the bigger one. And we have blankets covering that also. And then we have the Australian Shepherd sleeping next to him because we found out that he's quieter when he's got the other dog next to him, and they're both covered. So it's not like they can see each other.
Right.
But he does go to bed and it's quieter when they both lay down together next to each other. But he's still waking up at 5:30 and barking.
And so what is Lauren doing when he gets up? Is she going to get him or is she still letting him bark?
She's still letting him bark for a little bit until she just can't take it anymore. And then she goes and lets him out, feeds him.
And does he have to go potty at that point?
That I'm not sure. I'll have to ask her on that one.
Okay.
But by the time I'm up and getting ready for work, she's already been up an hour and she's ready to kill me because I slept through it.
Right. All right. Well, I could text with her and ask her if, because sometimes it's just a matter of they want to get up, they may not have to go. Although I would think after being in their crate for X amount, even over 4 hours, that he would have to go potty. But it's yeah, and I know he's done that for a while.
Well, but it's weird because so when we're at work, we put him in the kennel. Same thing, we cover him up, and then I'm usually home first, so I'll let him. I'll take the blankets off, and I'll open the door, and he just lays in there. So it's not like he's waiting to get out. So and he's in there all day while we're at work. It's just that first thing in the morning where he's barking.
So when you come home from work and he's in the crate, he's not barking.
He's not barking. He's just laying down and he kind of just looks at me like, "Hey, what's up?" And then just sits there with the door wide open. I got to entice him to get him out so that I can get him outside so he can go to the bathroom, or just let him sit. But he'll sit in there 10 minutes with the door open before he comes out.
Hey, Wendy.
Yes.
I just jumped on.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I just heard about Canyon.
Yes. And this has been an ongoing thing. Lauren has texted me quite often asking me, and they've done the blanket, they've done a fan, they've done the letting him bark. And
well, what I just heard was that he's barking, he's being let out, and he's being fed. So he's getting, in the long run, really rewarded for the behavior. And it's probably not dinner time in the afternoon when he's getting home and Canyon knows that Dad's not going to be, it's not feeding time. So he's content. So that was my first thought was, he gets obnoxious long enough and gets out. Have they tried a squirt bottle with some vinegar water or some lemon water to make it a little unpleasant?
We've tried a regular spray bottle. I don't think Lauren has put any vinegar or anything else in there.
You could use a little vinegar or a little lemon juice, to make it unpleasant. I think he's smart enough that he knows how long he can bark, and he'll get he'll get out.
Okay.
It's hard to correct that behavior because the timing's so important. How old is he?
Shoot. We should be around the 7 month.
Yeah, he was born at the beginning of March. He's a Laredo puppy.
Okay.
Yeah. So we should be about 7 months, maybe.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
How long is he in the crate when he starts at?
We usually put him in the bed sometime after 9:30, so between 9:30 and 10:30, and then he's up at 5.
That's 5, 7, 7.5, 8 hours. What time do you guys go to bed then?
Yeah, we go to bed about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we lay him down right before we go to bed.
Okay, I would suggest trying to get him as worn out before you go to bed.
We've tried that. That's where the bubbles came in.
Yeah, and be careful about creating a monster on bubbles.
Okay.
We had another dog that's now a monster on pools and hoses because that was their obsession.
Okay.
You know, in theory, it's a great idea, but what happens when he gets placed and there's a kid with bubbles and he's with a client? You know,
Got it.
you know, it can be a long, it can be a two-edged sword.
Yeah, change up the playing activity
Yeah.
so it's different.
Don't let the bubbles be his doggy crack.
Right. Yeah, because they all can have one.
Yeah. Ask Valerie about Dior and hoses. Um, um,
Yeah, she'll love that.
well, how obsessive is Dior?
She definitely wants to bite the hose when she's getting a bath. Like, she thinks that's definitely her toy.
Yeah. So it's interfered with us placing her as a service dog because she was so obsessed with it. So just guys, be careful of those kind of obsessions. Bark collars, he's young, but the bark collars would correct him at the exact time he barked. And it can cure it for the rest of his life that way. But I'm still thinking that, at 7.5, 8 hours, he should still be quiet in there.
Yeah.
But he knows that he'll get out and get fed. And you could try taking him out, let him go to the bathroom and put him back in, and don't feed him till noon so that he doesn't think first thing in the morning is his breakfast time. My dogs, I randomize. Sometimes they get fed at 9, sometimes they get fed at 6 in the evening so that they never know, so they're never obnoxious about getting up in the morning.
Okay. I'll talk to Lauren and we'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, you can just try it, and I know Wendy and Laura are doing great with getting the ideas. That's just a couple more there, just so that they know that feeding time isn't first thing. Feed him a little more in the evening or later in the day than his morning routine.
Right, because it's
Maybe
true. If your dog
light
expects
breakfast,
to eat, they're going to want to do that.
a light breakfast
Okay.
right before you leave for work. If he doesn't have to poop immediately after he eats. Some of the dogs, it's like poop, eat, poop, eat, poop. And others, it's eat and 8 hours later, okay, now. But
Yeah. Just some ideas. Are there any other questions that I can answer while I jumped on here for anybody?
Margot had asked about every time they go to pet Kipper on his head, he puts his nose up to smell, kiss, or lick our hands. Is there a command or trick to get him to keep his nose down? Because it can startle people who come up to make friends.
Well,
I taught one of my Goldens a no lick command because they were just obsessive lickers. Almost as your hands above the head, if the head comes up, almost let the top of your hand get his top of his nose so that he's bumping it as it comes up and it's unpleasant. And bring your hand back down around underneath. I taught mine a no lick. She was Lulu the lotion licker. She loved the lick. And so I purposely did it. I practiced her in a lot of situations where that she knew no lick was get that tongue back in her mouth.
It's not in the manual, but it comes in handy.
Right. It's not needed that often, but yeah.
Well, I think
And be ready with the leash. If you know she's going to do that, correct the behavior as they go to put their hand up there. Correct that behavior, and use the no lick command with it.
I usually wait to pet him until he puts his head down, but it's just his first instinct.
Yeah.
Put it up.
But if you're running, seeing strangers and they're doing it, be ready because you know he's going to do it.
Right. I put my finger on the tip of his nose and I push it down, and then I sometimes catch myself saying head down, but I'm saying nose down.
Right. But they have a different head down command for when they're laying down. So you got.
Oh yeah. Yes, I know it's incorrect. I sometimes catch myself wanting to say that because it's.
And you may need to be a little bit stronger with your nose on his, more of a tap than a push.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he gets rewarded when his head's down, give him a little bit of a tap,
Okay.
What if they pet him under, instead of petting him on his head? What if they
Right.
pet him underneath his chin? What happens?
Yep.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I mean, a lot of times I will stop people and just, I get my dog ready before I allow them to make a friend. And if you
Absolutely.
see Kipper doing, like, he's going to do it, you just feel, then I would say, I'm sorry, you can't make a friend. But if you think you can set him up for success in not doing it, then,
And-
Or ask him to pet him on his side, instead of on his head.
And still, we still got to be careful about too much petting out in public.
Yep.
Mhm.
We're just having a lot of problems with dogs dragging people to go visit because they're used to being able to greet everybody they meet. They've got to learn self-control.
True.
And those times that you see that they really want to go pet and they really want to get that attention,
Yep.
that's when you say no.
No,
Sorry, he's too excited about it today. He's got to learn self-control so that the person that gets him, is not being pulled over or out of their wheelchair or however you want to explain it to people.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Anything.
I'm checking chat to see if there's anything else. Oh, so you get credit for attendance, by the way. I had asked who Pups was. I said, I've got to give you credit for being here.
I was talking to Lou at ECAD and jumped on.
So how's Shaggy? Did she say?
Great, good. They're going to be down in December. We're going to get together.
Just an aside, personal aside. Sorry.
They're doing good. Everything's good. Any other questions? Everybody's quiet tonight.
It's been, yeah.
I heard Joni Codell did really great at the Wired here. Come on, Joni, brag on your boy.
She may have stepped away.
Joni's
It's acting crazy.
Wired here.
I don't know how to talk this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he got his first major, his first day there. And it was his first plane trip there.
And what's a major? These people don't know about dog shows.
You have to win against so many dogs. So a major for us is 3 points or more, and he got a 5-point major.
That's awesome. Joni's dog is with Susan Napier's husband. And how old is he?
9 months.
And they flew out to Washington State and showed him at the Wire-haired Pointers National Dog Show. And they just took out all the ribbons and all the prizes. So she did a really great job with the breeding of that dog. As a baby.
And for some of you, you may not know, we had a dog just placed named Mellow Yellow, who's one of Joni's dogs, or was. And he's being a rock star as a service dog.
They're half brothers.
Ah, okay. So she has lots and lots of ribbons, and for a 9-month-old to take 5-point majors at the national specialty is a big honor.
It is.
Congratulations. Yay!
Thank you.
So Liz just asked, how do we get the dogs to lay correctly rather than splooting or laying like a frog? Is it okay for them to sploot in public? And I think you just mean the legs out and back of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much the way Ronan lays all the time.
You could work on having him do it more in a corner, so they can't just automatically do that. Get him to roll on his side, on his hip a little bit. Some dogs just really like it, especially in the heat.
Mhm.
And if he's tucked up under, if he's under the table and he's splooted, that doesn't matter. It's just how much space is he taking up? We don't want him splooted out in an aisle.
Right.
But if he's tucked up under and.
But you could try working with a smaller area to get him to at least get used to laying on his side a little bit. You know, maybe use some chairs or your couch or something, and to set it up that he doesn't have the choice to sploot or to lay froggy style.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah, and Kayak is doing that when we walk. It seems to be a Walmart thing. We walk into Walmart and we just get past the doors and he just goes flat out. We're working on it, but it's something that he's getting better at it, and better at not doing it. But for a while, that's the first thing he did. And then he'd go 5 feet and he'd sploot out again. So I think it's because the floor is cool.
They must have exceptional tile. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, it's cement. or
So
something like
Valerie
that.
just said that Hoover decided to roll over and ask for belly rubs while they waited for her car at the dealership. And she told him to stand and then put him down again to reset so that he was wasn't upside down. He was appropriately positioned. And that's another good way to just get him to stand and move. We had to do that today. At breakfast, I sat at a table with those claw feet it's a round table with the claw feet underneath it. So there really wasn't an ideal spot for Bissell to tuck under because there was a chair and me and these claw feet. And so he was off to the side and he at one point was out too far. So it was a stand. I did the exact same thing, stand and had him go in and reposition so that he was not in the way. So if they're splooted where they don't need to be, get them to stand and try again.
I was training Mingo. Mingo's 6 months now. And I was training her to do down. And sometimes when I train the puppies, I usually use my legs. But she's like, she loves treats. So I was training her to go under a chair when I was sitting there to force her to do the down. So now she thinks when I sit in a chair, she comes up between my legs, turns around, faces outward, and then scoots her butt under perfectly. So.
Will she go in under a table?
Oh, yeah. She's fine. I mean, she's fine going in under a table, but if I'm like, we go to homeschool co-op. And so tomorrow we'll be sitting there and she'll come between my legs and then go under with just having her nose out under my chair. And it's just like, to think like her brain is like, oh, that's what she wanted. And I'm like, okay, I'll treat it because it's going to be useful for someone.
Do you give her a command or she just is doing it on her own?
No, she just does it on her own. When I used to train dogs, I did clicker training. I don't use the clicker, but I kind of use the concept of, I don't really give them any commands and I just, get her to do what I need her to do. So, and so that's what I was doing. And she decided to swing around and then do this, scoot under the chair, which I thought was like perfect for someone in a wheelchair. Yes.
Was she in prison? Was she in the prisons in Sago?
No, Mingo's a puppy.
Okay, because they do that a lot in the prisons where they teach them to go up under the chair when they're lined up. So okay.
Yeah, she's a fun puppy.
Are you being sarcastic? Are you being facetious?
She's my first girl puppy, and I have enough estrogen in this house for
She's one
girls.
of those spunky girls with a little bit of attitude, a little bit of sass.
My husband says that that she walks on 2 feet more than she does on 4 because she thinks she's like a big girl and she
No,
can.
they don't call them bees for nothing.
So we're working on it, but you know, she is smart and we're getting there, but it's been a process.
Oh, we've got a counter surfer. Up on 2 feet on a counter.
Mm.
And I do the down all the time. I'm working on leash. Or
Yeah.
I do off. I know. I sometimes catch myself, but I do, yes, off and down. And I've been practicing the push-ups. They all taught me at the last one for down. So we do off. I find that if anyone is in the kitchen, I have to leash him or like put blocks up because he's relentless. It is like you cannot turn your back for a second or he will get what's on the counter.
Yep. And then he's won if he gets it.
Oh yeah. So I'm not. So it's just that's where we're at. He thinks he's all that, putting his feet up, and you know when he gets off, I praise him. I haven't really tried. I haven't had the chance to try up because he's always there. You know, because I wanted to try up to do. You know, he's always up. If anyone's in the kitchen, he's in there checking out what's on the counter.
So maybe you practice with him when nobody is in the kitchen and nothing is on the counter.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Up and off.
You could also use the place command to get a bed for him and then make it so awesome if he lays down on that bed, and then maybe he won't even want to be in the kitchen.
Okay, because I do have his crate. He has 2 crates, one in a bedroom and one downstairs. And so one is close by to the kitchen. And he will
it could just be a rug. It could just be a rug.
Oh,
or
I see what you're
like
saying.
Yeah, it's just a place command where it's just like go to your place and then that would, I've done that in the kitchen when they're like in my business. It's like then all of a sudden they're like, oh, if I sit here I get a treat, or if I lay down here I get a treat, and then they'll be focused on that.
Our command is go to bed, which is not necessarily the kennel, but is the place.
I've got to pull out a thing that I bought off Amazon a year or so ago because I have very tall Bernese mountain dog that likes counters, and I need to bring it back out because my sandwich is no longer on the counter from this afternoon. But it's a scat mat that will emit either a little bit of a tingle, but it also emits a sound. It goes, eh! And when the dog's putting its paws up on the counter. It's a little battery operated thing, and I shared the link in the chat. You really get, once or twice a day, it helps because it emits the sound, so you know when they're doing it. If you're not in the room that they're counter surfing. And sometimes you can you can use mouse traps, you can use things I've used in the past, like cookie sheets piled high with metal items that whatever they're going after is attached to a string. So when they pull it, all that stuff falls down around them too. But I really like this little scat mat because it emits the sound along with the correction, and you can follow it up.
Anything that kind of scares them away from that area, right. Correct? Yeah. So we used for a couple of dogs, we used the empty water bottle with coins in the bottom,
right,
and would shake it. Yeah, and that has worked. We've done that with barking, like when they bark at the door.
Right.
We've also.
And you can fling it from across the room. It's not going to damage your door, but they won't know
Right.
where it came from.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a startle correction.
I think that's the key. They can't know where it comes from. They got to
Right.
think it's coming from the object that they're trying to get.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
Anything else for the good of the order?
So Janet did put up a
Link?
words, thank you, a
Yeah.
link in there. You have to grab that link now though, because once we leave the meeting, it won't be available.
You just have to hit counter surfing dog on Amazon and
Yeah.
it,
But if you wanted the direct link, grab it now. And it should open in a new tab. Then you'll have it.
it was handy to use. I just, it's like 2 corrections and they're like, oh, okay,
Okay, what else?
Well, since I'm going to have to run here in just a little bit, I wanted to remind you to sign up for a time at the DeLand event, if that's where you're going to try to go on Saturday. It starts at 10, it ends at 4. If you can't get there until later and want to help break it down, that would be from 4 to 4:30, probably not much longer than that. If evening is better, then remember there's a lakeside event that's happening 4 to 5:30. So we have a training opportunity any time of the day on Saturday that you want to try to make it to show up.
All right, Laura, hold on. What's the time? What's the DeLand event?
It is a fall festival for welcome. Hang on.
the Fall Family Festival with kids and a lot of kids oriented stuff.
It's for an organization that works with kids with disabilities.
Okay, and it's
I
that
didn't see
this
that part of
Saturday?
it.
That's this Saturday at, hang on, one moment. I can give you the details.
I think it's going to be emailed out to everybody tomorrow.
Okay, well, like I
Okay.
say, it is in the Friends page. It's at Earl Brown Park, which is right there off of Alabama in DeLand. And the organization that is sponsoring it is Welcoming Hearts. It's an organization for individuals with special needs and their families. We're gonna have a game. We're toss the something tennis, no spider, something in the bucket, and that's what you'll be monitoring the game, and then talking to people about being a puppy raiser and about New Horizons. And there should be bookmarks and that kind of thing on the table when you get there.
And there's a training this Saturday.
Well, that is the training, Wendy.
Oh, that is the training.
It's all about exposure this
Okay.
time.
There probably will be kids, there'll be kids there, there'll be strollers, there's wheelchairs. It's a good event for the dogs to experience kids.
And there'll be folks in costumes. So that the training is the exposure this time. We'll do a work on skills kind of training in November and December more.
Okay, got you. Okay, also December 3rd. So I put that on your calendar because I believe that we are working at being in a parade, either the Winter Park Parade or the DeLand Parade. We've done both of them. They are both great exposures. The Winter Park Parade, you have to apply to get in it. And the last few times we've done it, we have kind of piggybacked with another company, Land Home Financial. They have actually turned in the application and put us on it. And so they're waiting to hear. That one is in the morning. And then the DeLand Parade is in the afternoon.
That's in the evening. It's when it's dark.
Right. But we have to be there by like 4 o'clock. So, or 4:30. So anyway, I believe we're only going to do one of them. is what I understand, but just put December 3rd on your calendar right now. And save
And
the
if
day.
if you can't participate in the morning parade, then bring your dog to a Christmas parade as an observer. Last year we didn't get into the parades, but Wendy and I took the gaggle of dogs that we had at the time, and we stood on the sidewalk, and the dogs experienced the parade from the sidewalk side.
Yep.
Last year.
You can order some of those little battery packs with the lighted that you can put around their necks and you know, tuck the battery pack into their vest.
Dollar General has them. They're super simple. You can just stitch or staple them around the vest, and then it just pops right off. And as Janet said, the battery pack just goes right into the vest pocket.
You make a collar out of them too. Just, wrap them around as a collar or however,
Right. For either parade, we just usually sometimes we'll wear our New Horizon shirts or something, a decorative Christmas shirt. And some of us wear Santa hats, and we just I know DeLand has a theme. And I can't remember what the theme is.
I can't either.
I don't know, but I know that as soon as we have that information, we're going to send it out. But the goal is for you to put December 3rd on your calendar. And if you're not in the area, I know David is on the West Coast, just, try to, like Laura said, try to get them to a parade. It's always good for them to see the lights and the music and the sounds and all of that.
Yep.
And David would like
November's training is going to be on a Friday night. It's down at IKEA. We will have a November newsletter. We had a glitch in our newsletter for October as we tried to do a swap who was doing it. We will have a November newsletter out, so it'll have dates and it'll get us to the first of the year then. So
what's the date in November, Laura?
I knew you were going to ask. How did I knew you would. Hang on. I knew it, but I hadn't looked it up yet. And my phone.
Okay. While you're looking that up, David wants to know when the next prison pup transfer back to NHSD will be. I don't know the date, David. I don't think there's a date right now.
18th. November
18th.
Is a Friday.
Okay. And this is at IKEA?
Yep, in Orlando.
Okay.
And it's 7 to 9. So if you want to come early and have supper at IKEA, we could practice having them under the table while we eat.
Or somewhere near IKEA. There's all those restaurants around there.
Right. Absolutely.
There's a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, with their Swedish meatballs at IKEA. I gotta run. It's good to see you all.
Okay. Anybody else? Last call. It is 8 o'clock or almost 1 minute to. So we want to end it in a timely fashion. Anybody? So there will be a Zoom training at the beginning of November. I don't know. There's whatever the dates are. I don't know those off the top of my head, but I'm assuming since the newsletter is going to come out, you'll get them. So remember, there's always a Zoom training where we actually attempt to teach you something or reinforce something. There is a in-person training, and October's is this Saturday, and then there is a Q&A. So November newsletter will come out and you'll have those dates again. And this is the last call. Okay. Thank you guys. We appreciate you being on here and all that you're doing. Keep it up. We appreciate it. Have a good night. Enjoy your week.